All right, so setup here will be 50-50. So that means we'll have 3 stations for each circuit. It's going to be 50 seconds of each one. So 50 of 1, 50 of 2, 50 of 3, then right back to the first one, 50 of 1, 50 of 2, 50 of 3. Then you get 50 seconds rest. Then you start the next circuit of 3 stations, 50-50-50, 50-50-50. Equipment that you'll need, you'll want a weight. This can be medium to heavy weight, so you'll have it in a single leg RDL to row. So it can be your laundry detergent, if you've got a dumbbell or anything like that. And you're also going to use it for Russian twists, so sitting on the floor here, side to side. And then you'll need some sliders. There'll be some hamstring runners where your heels will be on the sliders. And then a clock press, so a push-up where you have a hand on the slider. So first circuit, we'll get started in about 15-20 seconds here. We're going to have hand walks, which you won't need any equipment for. You're going to have skaters, which you just need a little bit of space for, and then a suitcase crunch where you'll be on your back down on the floor. So we'll start with hand walks in about 7 seconds here. Oh shit, doesn't feel slipping.
All right guys, Ben's demoing a hand walk here. Hand walk out overhead. Don't fall on your face, hand walk back in. Take the hamstring stretch once, you get all the way back in there. Drive the hips up. A little bit of core activation on the way out. If you have any shoulder issues, maybe don't go so far overhead. And if you get it to a precarious position, just drop to knees on the way out there. We got 15 seconds here still. And the next thing is going to be skaters, covering some lateral distance. It's not the mini skater, so you don't have to take the opposite hand to the opposite foot. Make sure you have enough clearance in your space. Be mindful of the surface you're landing on. Then also try to keep that back foot off the ground. And you might find that sinking our opposite arm, opposite leg up works well. "25 seconds in, 25 seconds out. Then the next exercise is going to be that suitcase crunch, so you'll be on your back. 15 seconds. 10. 5. Good, on your back there. Heavy crunch position, swiveling side to side in the torso. So trying to find a little bit of oblique activation on both sides there. Some people like to have their feet up. I think feet down works just as well. But if you are one of those people, feel free to have your feet off the ground. If it gets into your neck, you could lightly support your head, but maintain that same movement pattern, so a pretty heavy oblique squeeze. It can be harder to find though with the hands behind your head. We're about 15 seconds out, and we'll go back to our first exercise, which was the hand walk. Five seconds. Back up on your feet, hand walk out overhead, take that stretch again. And on the way back in, legs stay pretty straight, drive the hips up. You can stand vertically between each rep if you'd like to. "25 seconds. Maybe time for one more good rep here. 5. And then the next exercise, we'll stand tall for skaters. Again, watch out for stuff around you. Once we finish our skaters and the suitcase crunch, we'll take a 50-second rest. And we'll start over with 3 new exercises. 15 seconds here. 5. Good suitcase crunch to finish the series. This doesn't have to be very fast, just keep a lot of tension. Keep that low back driven down, the chest is pointed up. Hold some tension, roll side to side. Some people like to touch their ankles or calves or heels. Put your feet in a position where you can kind of make that contact just as an end point. 15 seconds. 10. 3. Quick 50 seconds of air. We've got a little bit of time before we start. Our first thing is going to be a curtsy lunge. So I'll take my knee behind the opposite heel or Achilles. I'm doing my best not to push off my toes. So I use the front leg as the prime mover. I'll also have a push-up with a shoulder touch. Do 1 push-up, 1 shoulder, drop back in, hit a push. The other shoulder, back in, same thing. And then a side plank with a switch. So from one side, reach under and match the arms, come up to a little bit of a vertical reach. So curtsy lunge will be our first thing in 10 seconds. You can turn that if you want to see it better. 2.
So stand on one leg here. Keep it as much weight as possible on that front leg. If you need to use the back foot for a little push out of the bottom position, you can, but you're trying to do that the least amount possible. So if you're really strong with these, you won't even push off that back leg. It's more just resting it down on the floor and then driving through that front heel, especially to get you back up to the top. Just that little rotation so the knees come in just outside the heel. 18 seconds left. Next one's going to be that push-up plus shoulder touch coming up in 10. So just staying on the same side for the full 50, and then the next round you'll get that other leg. 3, 2, 1, down to the floor. So push-up. You're going to want the feet really wide if you're going from your toes. If you're going from your knees, same thing, knees apart. And that gives you a little more stability when you do that reach up. So you're not just shifting all your weight and turning your hips off to the side. We want to try to keep that body and that core squared up when you lift the hand up. That's going to be the hardest part on these, is getting all that weight to one side and not shifting your hips. You can always go from your knees on these, but just a good medium tempo. Trying to get some reps in, but you don't need to speed through these either. More time on one hand is going to be more core work too. So 8 seconds to go. And then next one's going to be a side plank switch. So you'll stay down on the floor there. You'll go down to a side plank position on your elbow. Reaching up. And then switching sides. So you pull that forearm down, it matches up with the other forearm, and then you reach up. Not very fast with these, just smooth reps, reaching straight up towards the ceiling. And your eyes can follow that hand too as you rotate. You can be rolling on your feet a little bit there, or if you have a better position, if you want your feet wider and you just roll on your toes a little bit side to side, whatever feels more stable for you. 12 seconds left. And then we're going to go back up to that curtsy lunge on the other side here. 4. So side view here, all that weight staying on the front legs. Heel stays pushed in, but your foot can stay flat on the floor. The back knee comes around just to the outside of that heel. So you get enough rotation where you feel your hips turning a little, you feel your butt on that downside. 20 seconds left. So last 10, and then down to those push-ups again with the shoulder tap. Two, one. And good core positioning on this one. Not letting those hips drop. Not letting those hips drop too low below the rest of the body, so not sagging down towards the floor. We want to keep everything in a nice straight line through the mid part of the body there. Good control as you lift that hand up. Exhale every time you push away from the floor. 15 seconds to go. So 7, and then you're going to the side plank switches, and then we'll get that 50-second break. And it's also important to go slow enough where you can get that elbow and that forearm position nicely under your body so you don't feel like you're straining your neck or your shoulder. You want to feel really solid when you get all that weight on one side. Halfway through. "15 seconds left. And then you're going to get that break coming up before we get into our next circuit. 3, 2, 1. The dead bug is static. So next circuit, we're going to have an in-out squat jump. So just need a little room on the floor for that. So we're going to have a static dead bug, so laying down on your back, core one there, and then a plank with opposite reaches. So a little bit of room for your feet and your arms to reach out there. So going about 10 seconds with those in-out squat jumps. Really light on your feet for these.
2. Kind of in that wide squat position, tapping narrow just through the toes and then bounce back out into the squat. Keeping control of our knees, so as we sit, yes, they're pushing wide, but it's a controlled, small push out. Think about if you had a band around the knees, just pushing out a little bit for some tension. 30 seconds here. Our second exercise will be a static dead bug. So we'll be on our backs, low back pressed tight to the floor. 10 seconds remaining. 5. 4. And then the effort in this one is all based off how far you extend the arms and legs away from each other. You could hold the weight in hands or feet. Just make sure if you're doing so, low back stays pressed down. 30 seconds. If this is aggressive, we can always bend the knees. You can always have your feet on the floor as well and just hold that crunch base. But it should be a static position towards the outer end of your abilities. 20 seconds here, and then we're gonna roll into a plank with opposite arm and opposite leg reach. So if you sold that on this exercise, that plank should be pretty tough. 10 seconds. 3. Roll over onto your forearms. Trying to keep the hips as stable as you can. Opposite arm, opposite leg. If it's kicking your butt, slow down a little bit. Pause with all 4 limbs on the ground. Push out. You could also just do a lateral toe tap, leave the arm out of it, or just the arm reach overhead instead of moving opposite limbs. About 20 seconds out, and then we're gonna go back to our first exercise, which was the in-out squat jump. 15. 5. On your feet, guys. In-out squat jump, a little bit of a wide base on a squat. Tap narrow, and right back out to that wide squat. We don't do a lot of things for tempo. This is one of those things though that we are going to move about as quickly as we can. Nice quick tap, bounce back out. And then on that wide squat, try to absorb the weight. So as you're impacting the floor, think about trying to absorb it so you're not stiffing your legs when you land. 20 seconds. And we'll go back into the dead bug after this. 10. 10. And the more effort you put into this one, the more rewarding that plank and reach will be. Try to control your breathing, but make sure that low back is pressed down tight. Ribs are down towards hips. 20 seconds out. If you feel good, let the limbs extend a little bit, a little more overhead, a little more feet down toward the floor. 10 seconds. 3. Plank with opposing reaches, a left and right, a right and left. And I always cue it as thinking about having your favorite beverage on your low back, kid friendly or not. Trying to reach out without spilling that beverage. 30 seconds, we'll take a 50-second rest. $15. 3, 2. 50 seconds off, guys. Three things coming up. First thing is bicycles on our back, opposite elbow, opposite knee. I'll show you a few regressions. Ben will call them out. He'll lead me through it, but we're going to do a few regressions there. Hip flexor can be kind of an issue for some, low back as well, and or just fatigue overall. The other exercise is going to be a slow on the way up. Push-ups will drop down a normal cadence and real slow push, maybe 5 to 8 seconds. Grind all the way up and back up. The third thing is a squat jump with a pulse at the bottom. So we'll land, pulse, jump, Beautiful. On our backs. 3 seconds out.
So bicycles here, to make these more challenging, you're gonna get that full leg extension, and then you're lifting that elbow up towards your opposite knee to get a good crunch. If you stay too low to the ground, you might not feel as much. Some alternatives, you can shorten the range of motion on that leg reach. Keep the knees bent a bit more, and if you're not extending quite as far, you're not gonna get quite as much of a pull on the abs. 20 seconds left. You can also bring a foot down to the floor on each one. If your hip flexors are getting cramped up on this one, this will take some of the tension out of there, but you're still getting a good crunch across. So 10 seconds to go. Next one's gonna be a slow up push-up. So just flip over onto your front side. 2, 1. So these will be just normal push-up form, but the speed is gonna be slow on the up push, and then you can go down a little bit faster, so you don't have to worry about slowing the way down. We've got the different tempo push-ups. This is the slow up. There is the eccentric one, which is slow down, and then there's slow both directions. This one, it's the way up, which lots of times can be the worst part, is slowing yourself down, not being tempted to get up quickly. 20 seconds to go. These can be done from the toes or from the knees. If you don't feel like you're going very slow, then go down to the knees. 7 seconds left. Then we're going to have some squat jumps with a pulse coming up next. You'll be up on your feet. So you get that jump, pulse, jump, pulse. And like with all the jumping, if you can't get up off the floor, either physically or because of the setup of your apartment, you can more just push through the toes, pretend like you're jumping, and you won't actually have any impact. And that pulse is pretty much a half rep down at the bottom position of the squat. 18 seconds to go. Soft landing, heels come down to the floor when you get into that landing. Butt sits backwards, 10 seconds left. 5, and then you're back down to the floor for bicycles on your back. So heart rate should be up a little bit after those. Now second round of bicycles, a little extra fatigue going on. Work on that crossover crunch. And good breathing. Every 1 or 2 reps you want to be breathing through this one. And we're not racing through them either. Nice slow to medium tempo. $18 seconds left. Last 10, then you're going to flip over into those push-ups where you're going slow on the way up.
I was a little sore for Thursdays. Ab series 50. Just a little bit. Swinging an axe this week. Let me know.
So good breathing. If you're going slow enough, you might get a couple of breaths in on that push-up. There's not necessarily a perfect rhythm for the breathing on this one, so it's going to be a little different depending on how quickly you're going or how slow you're going. 15 seconds left. Everything staying as one unit there, core's tight. You're in a good plank position as you push up. 5. And then you're going into those squat jumps with the pulse next. So up to the feet, hit the jump, pulse at the bottom, jump, pulse at the bottom. And just send that butt back as you come down. Helps absorb the impact and then puts the stress in the right place, in the hips and the glutes, so it's not all going into the knees. $25 seconds to go, and then you're going to get that 50-second break. Last 10. 2, 1, and good. Take your break. So for the next circuit, you're going to want a weight, probably medium to heavy weight. For 2 different ones, you're going to have a single leg RDL to row. So you're coming down, pulling up, Russian twist, sitting on your butt, doing a little rotating side to side. And then split squat jump, so just need some space for your feet on this one.
Couple options with this exercise. You can do a single RDL and a single row, or stay bent over in that RDL position as we go through many, many, many rows. So if you have any back issues where this is going to be kind of an overload on the back, you might just do 1 RDL, 1 row, 1 RDL, 1 row. If your limitation is stability, you'll put that back foot softly on the floor, acting almost as a rudder or a brace or a pivot point, but that back foot can come down. 15 seconds out. And then as Ben mentioned, the next exercise is a Russian twist. 5, 2, on your butt here. For a second, I thought he was going to do 2 dumbbells. Feet up is the hardest position to be in. Feet down would take a lot of stress off the hip flexors, core, and perhaps the back. Leaning back as much as you can within reason, trying to find kind of that balance point there. We're 25 seconds in and 25 seconds out. Our third thing is going to be a split squat jump. So we'll pop switch, pop switch, pop switch. 15 seconds. 10. 3, 2, on your feet. Watch out for the weights you may have gotten out. Ben's got the demo, transferring in the air, allowing both feet to make impact at the same time. A lot of the effort is in that back knee depth. So if you feel like this is not too bad, let that back knee drop down a little more, maybe a little more height on the transition. If it is pretty bad, don't jump as high, don't let the knee come down. You could also do more of a dynamic reverse lunge, so just that one leg's gonna pop, maybe a little pop to switch, or just some speed. 15 seconds out. And then we'll go back to our single leg RDL, single arm row. Make sure you switch arms and switch legs. 3, 2, 1. And again, you can hit that one leg, 1 rep on the row, or just throw down 50 seconds of rowing on that one side. Somewhat weight dependent, but also somewhat low back dependent, depending on how you feel. 25 seconds. After this, we'll go into the Russian twist again. If the weight felt good, stick with it. 15 seconds. 10. Good. On your bums, feet on the floor or off the floor. Lean back a lot. Take that rotation side to side. And if you watch Ben, he's not just rotating the elbows or the arms, it's a torso rotation. So keep those arms kind of fixed or those hands fixed to chest and rotating side to side through the rib cage. Another 20 seconds here, and then split squat jumps to finish the series. 15 seconds. 5. 'Pop switch. Pop switch. Integrating the arms with the legs will be quite helpful. Work on some sort of rhythmic breathing here. The cadence of it is going to vary for everybody. Let's try to commit to the next 20 seconds. Stay on. 10. 3. Good rest, guys. 3 things coming up. We'll go forward and reverse lunge on one leg. So I use my right leg forward, right leg back, right leg forward, right leg back. We'll also have a valve slide. Use the discs hamstring runner, and then disc clock press, which is one arm push up, one arm fly, one arm push up, one arm fly. I'm definitely going for my knees there. A couple of you might go for toes. It's crazy. Good for you. So in 5 seconds, forward and reverse lunge on a single leg, trying to limit or take out the contact in between. So my feet won't touch side by side, over the front, drop in over the back.
As you step backwards, that weight loads to the front leg. As you step forward, you're going to load that weight more into the front leg on that one too. So it is shifting the stress, alternating the legs with the stress, even though you're keeping the same one planted into the floor. So 20 seconds to go. And just a smooth tempo on these two. Try not to get that big wobble in the middle as you're transitioning, but good balance on that one side. So 10 seconds left. Then we go into those hamstring runners, so laying on your back with sliders. There's several options for this one. There's pretty big variance in how people are with this. The most challenging option is keeping those hips up high, moving both feet continuously, so never actually pausing. Another option is to move one at a time. So keep one locked in while the other one reaches, but you're still trying to keep a lot of weight on the moving one into that heel, so that way the hamstring's doing a lot of work on that. Another option is to let those hips come all the way to the floor and slide back and forth, but you still want to keep a lot of weight in the heels. 12 seconds left. So you can get, even with the butt on the floor, you can get a lot of hamstring tension if you're pushing down into those sliders hard. 5 seconds left, and then you're going to be down on the floor again for that clock press. One hand on the slider, or actually both hands on the sliders. Going to do that push up with the reach. So like Kyle said, you usually want to go from your knees on this one. If you're trying to get straight through the set, you want a pretty wide base with the knees or the feet. As you go down to the floor, you're reaching that one hand about 45-degree angles from your torso. So it's not straight out to the side, it's not straight up overhead. 15 seconds left. And then he's doing more eccentrically, go all the way down and then slide the hand back that way. Or if you can push all the way up from that bottom position, that's another option. 3, 2, 1. Back to that forward reverse lunge, other side. Make sure those sliders are out of the way. So again, both legs work depending on which part of the lunge you're in. On that forward lunge, you'll probably get a little more up in the quad on that front leg. On the reverse lunge, you should feel a little more glute and hamstring on that front leg, but still using quads for both of these. 18 seconds to go. Then get down on your back for those hamstring runners again. 8. 2, 1. And so be aware of how your low back feels on these too. If keeping the hips up is getting too much into your low back, you're better off keeping the hips down but still driving those heels into the sliders. This is one that you should be feeling a lot, no matter which option you're doing. If there's not really a good cheating way on these, you just burn out those hamstrings pretty well. 20 seconds to go, and then you'll be down into that clock press, that push-up variation that we'll be doing as the last one in this circuit. Last 10. 4. Okay, last one in the circuit, so to the knees or toes. One hand's in that push-up position, the other hand is doing the reach. And a good exhale as you push up away from the floor. $25. 15 left, 1 or 2 more on each side here. Five. All right, 50 seconds to recover there. Then we're going into our last circuit here. Vertical reach. So the 3 to finish out of a sprinter start. So that's where you're going to need some space behind you. No equipment for that. Single leg V-up will be a core one down on your back. So here, coming up to one leg. And then the last one's going to be a high plank push-up position with a reach up towards the ceiling. So we'll start with those sprinter starts. About 10 seconds. Make sure sliders, again, are out of the way.
So sprinter start here, and the difference between this and that single leg jump with no back foot contact is the foot contact in the back. Try to press off that back foot a little bit to initiate, and then the arms and that front leg kind of take over. Nice soft landing as you come down. Ben's got a good demo, trying to keep the body moving fluidly so it's not a stiff landing and then a reach. It kind of all happens at the same time. Syncing up opposite arm and opposite knee for a big drive. 15 seconds out. After sprinter starts, we'll go on to our backs for single leg V-ups. I would likely alternate legs and arms on each repetition instead of doing 50 seconds on 1, 2, 1, and on your back here. And this can be done somewhat as a sit-up, a high torso position at the end like Ben's demoing now. That's too much on the back, tailbone, core, whatever it might be. A small crunch works just as well. So a small crunch up, reach the foot. 25 seconds out. There's that small crunch demo there. So just a little bit of a rib cage drop. 15 seconds. And then after those single leg V-ups, we're on to a high plank with a vertical reach. 10 seconds. 5. So from a push-up position, we're going to reach the ceiling, drop back in. "25 seconds. We'll do this series one more round, starting with sprinter starts. 15 seconds. 5. Let's make sure we switch legs here. Nice little pop drive, and really get that opposite arm and opposite leg working together. Think about almost throwing an uppercut through that back arm when it swings up. "30 seconds out. And when we do our single leg jump, no back foot contact, this is always a good regression to go to if stability is an issue, so you can always take that back foot contact. 15 seconds out. It's a good tempo. Next thing, single leg V-ups. We'll continue to alternate. We have a few stretches to do after this last series of exercises. 2 single leg V-ups. Nice job, Ben. And again, it can be kind of that crunch base or a full sit-up, whichever one you'd like. Not a lot of whipping through the arms. They can certainly lead you through it and assist a little bit, but try to use your core on the way up and core on the way down. On the way down, each vertebrae almost makes contact individually, so let your body come down nice, slow, controlled. 20 seconds out. 10. 2. High plank with a reach to finish. Then we'll take maybe 25 to 30 seconds in between this and our first stretch. The first stretch is going to be on your feet, the neck trap stretch. So one hand on the head, kind of rotate the head away from the midline and give it a little bit of assistance. Ben will have a demo, but you'll be on your feet for the first stretch. 20 seconds. Ten. On your feet here, one hand on the head, one hand behind the body, and a very gentle pull on the head, so a bit of an assisted motion there. If you look straight ahead, you'll probably feel a lot in the side of the neck, but if you turn the chin down to the armpit and pull, you'll feel more in the back of the neck. But it should be very, very gentle, just like any other stretch, nothing crazy here. We'll do a 50-second bout on one side, 10 seconds to transition, which I did not set the clock for, and 50 seconds on the other side.
Just go right into it, sorry.
Sure.
Whatever you want, it's fine. If it's better for the workout, do it the other way.
10 seconds out. Good. Go ahead and rest. 10 seconds. And we'll switch sides here. 2. Same thing on either side. And then our second stretch is the world's greatest stretch, which is usually our warm-up. If the legs are a little fatigued, which they may be, this stretch might not feel like as much of a stretch. But still trying to go through that movement, get a little bit of hamstring, a little bit of calf, a little bit of hip. "20 seconds. "10. A few seconds, we'll find ourselves in a nice big lunge base. Reaching down through the elbow, rolling through the torso, reaching high. Coming into a little stretch there. And then Ben's going to go ahead and switch each rep. If you guys want to stay on one side for 50 seconds, you can. 20 seconds out. Five. If you want. How's it feel in the legs? Sorry. It's not called the world's greatest pre-exercise stretch, right? I mean, we could throw it in post. It's all right.
It's tiring.
I'm sure.
It's harder than just sitting on the floor stretching.
I think he's talking about me back here. Fortunately, your next stretch is sitting on the floor stretch. It's going to be a butterfly stretch. So finish this last 20 seconds here of the world's greatest, and then have a seat on your bum for a butterfly stretch. And we'll just do one 50-second butterfly stretch. 5. So in 10 seconds on your butt, feet together. A few different ways to go through this. The knees can just float off to the side. You can press them down. You can sit nice and tall. You can have the feet tight to body. Just looking for a little bit of that adductor stretch.
Remember Derek at Pro Code?
Yeah.
I remember he was on vacation once and he said he just did, his workout was like 20 world's greatest stretches on each side. It's like, he was really tired at the end of that. Like, just did that for the workout. Like, mobility and your quads, they get a little tight.
That might be upcoming in a Fuse workout.
Just world's greatest the whole time.
I wonder how long it took him.
I know, I mean, if you go really slow with them.
Which he probably did.
Just do like hand walks and world's greatest for a workout and like you can get yourself pretty tired. And you're super mobile at the end of it.
5. That's it, guys. If you wanted a second butterfly on your own, you're welcome to. If you need to rewind and go back through the stretches, you may as well. Nice to see you. Have a good morning.